I want to thank all the fans out there because this last weekend, the All My Children After Show was number one out of all of my 90 shows. It happens very once in a while. You guys do this to me. I'm just flabbergasted and gobsmacked. Let's do some big words this morning on how successful my after show is. And I just want to thank you. I mean, seriously, bottom of my heart, thank you so much because we do love all my children. And on a recent show, people kept saying, bring back All My Children, Not One Life to Live. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but there's a whole All My Children fan base. And I have somebody who was on the show. You may recognize, he's a little older now. He has a great mustache. I like this mustache. But he played Joey Martin, who was later renamed Jake. He had a couple of year run on there. He came back a couple of times. He's done other stuff too, but we're going to talk about his time on All My Children. Because again, it's a show that continues to resonate for fans. So help me welcome. He's also here in Los Angeles with me, Michael Brainard. How are you, Michael?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, folks, full disclosure, we met doing another podcast on my show about Ernie Pyle. So you can watch that one. It's called Ernie Pyle World War II Museum Podcast. That's how we met. And I was like, wait a minute, you're somebody. So, and that's why I pointed at you. And he's been so gracious to talk with me. So thank you, Michael. Um,
Well,
my
happy to
first
be here.
my first question is going to be because when you hear me say I have like 90 shows in this network, and it was the number, and it happens all the time. Right now, it's number 6 of all my shows, and I do everything from Star Wars and everything. Why do you think soaps like All My Children, the ones that are defunct, they're not on TV
Yeah.
currently,
Yeah.
are still resonating with fans?
Well, because of the if you consider that at the time, in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, before cable television took over, it was the only thing you could watch during the day. And you picked a couple of stories and you watched them and you followed them and you would normally pick a network. Some people, you know, peppered in multiple networks during their day or watched a couple on Monday and then a couple others on, because the stories would, you would, you'd be talking about something on a Monday and you get the script for the following Monday and it's the exact same scene. So, it just carry on for a long time. So you'd be able to jump around if you wanted to. But if you remember, they would get 12 million viewers, 14 million viewers. And if somebody gets a million viewers now for something, they deem that a success.
Yes.
And Santa Barbara was always down at 2 million, 3 million.
Right.
And at the low rung of the ladder there, and which was the reason why it was probably canceled.
Right.
But it was that would be a huge success these days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So guess what? A lot of those people are still around that watch those shows, 12 million a day. So yeah, it's no wonder that you pull in those numbers for your show, James.
Yeah, it's a trip, and I do a Dallas after show too, and Dallas is huge. I mean, I have a huge following on that one. And that's another one. It was like a prime time soap, and those were getting 30 million a week. It was about share, 20% share. And they always say it was almost outrageous how big these were because we only had 3 networks and no cable and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And so I guess you're right. It's kind of like those folks are still around and probably miss the old days, miss those shows. And
Yeah.
remember at one point there was like when they said there was 26 soaps at one point, then 13 in the 90s at one point.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's 4, no 5. So it's 5 now.
And it's no, there, those fans never went away.
Right.
The maybe they stopped watching as much as they used to, but they still made their way back. And when they started pulling in equal numbers for game shows and
Uh,
talk shows and
uh,
such, they're like, oh, we don't need to pay all of these people
right.
uh, a writer's room, all of these producers and hair and makeup, and all of the people that make up uh, uh, the workforce of a show. Um, and the least of which is the cast.
Right.
There's a large number in contracted actors on the show, sure, but the people behind the scenes, there's so many. So when they realized that, well, we can, cut that down by a vast percentage by this other live content, uh, it was a no-brainer for the money people to make those decisions. But those people never went away. The fans never went away,
You're right about
and
that. You're right about
and
that.
there's still space for it. There should be. Those entities should come back. I know that All My Children has a problem with Prospect Park owning the rights, I guess, when they tried to put up the
Yeah,
the internet show,
yeah,
take over ownership of it, which
yeah.
is probably the only time that uh, a corporate entity sold a private name title like that to a private owner in the soap world, at least.
Yeah.
Because most of the soap operas were owned by the networks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Except for Santa Barbara, that was one of the few ones that wasn't.
exactly.
One
That's
of the
why,
few.
yeah, Santa Barbara is huge across the world because of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, you're right. So all my children and Want to Live through Prospect Park did like a season on way before they ahead of their time. I mean, now Days of Our Lives is on Peacock. I mean, it's exclusively on Peacock, so they're ahead
Yeah.
of their time. But I want to ask you, because I don't know if I didn't answer last time. When you heard All My Children and Want to Live were being canceled, these long running shows being canceled, do you remember that? Because you weren't on the show at the time, but do you remember do you remember what you thought when you heard they were being canceled?
Oh, well, yeah, just like I was speaking about a moment ago. It's short-sighted. It's
No.
completely short-sighted. It's a name, it's a title, it's an entity that it'd be like, okay, we're going to put Star Wars to bed.
Right,
We're not going to make another one.
right.
Come on. Why? It's stupid. It could easily be, done for, you close the cast down to Susan Lucci and Michael E. Knight and right? And then a couple of
Those
others.
two. Yes.
Yeah, and shoot it on an iPhone. People would be happy.
But you're not. But see, what's funny, Michael, because you're in the business like I am. You're not even off that much. Like we have things that are shot on iPhones that are
Yeah,
Oscar nominated. I mean, they're
that
filmed
Oscar
like.
nominated.
I mean, it can't. You
Yep.
can find ways to do stuff now that it's not.
Oh, easy.
You know that. I mean, we have to. There's ways to shoot stuff cheaper.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But get Susan, tell Michael and I gotta leave General Hospital, come back to over here, and you're good. I'm ready. I'm like, I'll watch it. That's good. And maybe
That's
have
right.
Michael on there for a second. You come back for a minute. Come on there.
Hey, why not? I
Why
will.
not? Why not? You're his younger brother, so to speak. Tad's younger
Yep.
brother, adopted younger brother. Um, so, but you're not wrong. I think that the fan base never left. They're still there. Now social media and online and Reddit and all these things, you can now talk about it. And I think that's why my after shows are doing so well because people are just like, I want to reminisce too. I want to look back at
Yeah.
this too.
I need to get my drug of choice.
Yes.
I gotta take part. So let me listen to a little All My Children content these days. And it's you, James. It's you.
See, and then,
The drug dealer.
I also, I'm smart. I just named them the after all my children after. So I'm no fancy name, no Pine Valley update. I'm just like, I want you
Yep.
to find it.
Yeah.
Now, all
Yeah.
my children after show. Very simple. So you're gonna want to live after show. You just find them. It's me.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'll go back to the beginning. So you're from LA, right? You're out here like me. You're from LA. LA,
Yeah.
LA County. You're from LA County, right?
Yeah. My father was a LA City firefighter. And so the first few years of my life, I was in LA County. And then I moved down to Orange County.
Okay.
And through high school, I was down there. And then I got out as soon as I could.
The orange
And
curtain. The orange curtain, yes.
yep, I started auditioning as an actor um, up here in Los Angeles. And then through a series of agents and misfires and very close calls, getting different things. Finally, at the age of 23, I put it all together and started doing well in my auditions. Took the right classes. I focused well, and I landed a part on All My Children. I auditioned out here for Bobby Hoffman, who was the casting director on the West Coast for ABC soaps.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And what a great guy he was. And you talk to any All My Children people from the West Coast, they'll tell you stories of Bobby. And
See, I didn't
so
realize,
yeah, I was on.
before you say anything, I didn't
Yeah.
know they had, because folks that, if you remember, but he's talking the '80s, late '80s. So I'm telling you, this is when All My Children was in New York. So I didn't realize they
Right.
had a West Coast rep like kind of person and a East. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, this is the olden days, man. I mean, there they
We're horse and
just talked to
buggy.
they talked to each other on the phone. Can you imagine that? And if you missed the phone call, forget it. You
Oh
couldn't
right, no,
even.
back then, yes, back then. Oh my God, yes.
So so yeah, there was okay, I was auditioning for the part of David Rumpal, which
Yeah,
was
I remember that character
remember that?
actually. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the audition, and it was me and a couple of other people that were flown to New York for a screen test, and one of them was Ian Ziering.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
90210 later fame.
yeah, yeah, and he was
Wow.
there, and there was a I don't know who else was there, but we flew out. I did my audition there. Had a couple of days in New York City on their dime, which was great. I'd never been there
Yeah,
before. Flew
yes.
back home, and then I heard that I did not get the part, but they're going to grow Joey up really quick because he was still, I don't know, in the fifth grade or something like that. And I was still bummed. I was bummed that I didn't win the part. I'm a pretty competitive person.
Oh, okay.
And I was really bummed because it was a good part. It was a really well written part. And Trent Boucher got the part. Really good guy.
Yeah.
Became a friend, and so I still was disappointed. And my agent was like, "What's the matter with you? You're a contracted role. You're 23 years old. You're going to go live in New York. You're going to have the time of your life." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't. Just shut up and go. You know." I'm like, "Okay, of course," and I did. And so they my first my first show was the Thanksgiving show of 1988.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And then I came back a few months later to start the storylines of
Hey,
the,
wait, that's 30 something years ago, kids.
yeah,
That's
the
kind of
David and
crazy.
Laney story. And I was the high school sidekick of them, you know. At the age of 23, I did look like I was in high school still,
Wow.
you
That's
know. And
crazy.
if it wasn't for the mustache that you guys all can't see, uh, I would still look 23.
Yes. Well, actually, we're gonna release this as video too. So they'll see some people see the mustache. Some will
Oh
see.
no, I didn't shave. Oh my
You look
gosh.
great. You look great. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I
you look
needed
great.
hair and
Yeah.
makeup.
Here's what's
Look,
crazy.
okay. All right, let's go. Can we blur out my arms?
Here's what's
Okay.
crazy. You have no
Okay.
wrinkles. I have more than you do, and that's crazy. You have no wrinkles whatsoever.
Oh, that's not true.
I know
That
I'm
is
looking right now at your face. There's no filter on. Okay, you have to make it harder, but there's no filter on you. And I'm doing these makeup and shit. Makeup, I need makeup. Somebody need something because I'm like you look better than I do. Yes, what's going on here? But for the listeners at home, will see this. Yes, he has a mustache. He look listeners at home, he looks good. You don't understand. He looks good. But I want to go back. I do want to go back for a second because um, did you know early in this acting game that you could be flown out somewhere on some company dime for a possible job. You didn't even get the job. This is a possible job. I always wondered the mindset of like you say you're so young. Did you even realize what that was about, or like how did that feel?
Oh yeah, that felt I I never experienced anything like it, you know, before. I had come close on a lot of parts in Los Angeles. Uh and that had I gotten those roles, I would have my career would have gone in a totally different direction, you know. Because they were casting other things for instance, if I didn't take this part, you know, the next thing up, Ziering got, you
How'd you
know,
know?
90210. maybe that would have been me. Who knows?
Oh, that's right. Could have been you on there.
Yeah, I beat him out once. Maybe I'd have beat him. Maybe I'd have been the Sharknado guy. Who knows?
I love the Sharknado movies. I love them. Oh, that's so funny. But no, but you're right.
Right?
That you could
You
have been.
just never know. I was in that circle of actors that were always showing up at the same things. Um,
That's so
the
funny.
same auditions, and maybe it would have been something else, but it was this. And I had a great time in New York.
But here's the
Uh,
thing, though. New York is not LA. New York is not Orange County. It's a
correct.
very different vibe, tone. Even the city itself is very dense. It's like lots of. It's very different. Um, were you excited to go, or were you a little apprehensive? And then once you got there, did you like it?
Yeah, I was excited to go. There's no doubt. Uh, it was overwhelming. I can't even. It took me a few months to find a place.
Oh
It
wow!
was. It's really hard. It's still hard to find an apartment in New York City. There's so many barriers in the way for you to find a place. Uh, and so at that time, I was looking through the New York Times classified section in the paper every day
Oh my
for
god!
for for places. And
Love it.
so I stayed at for the first 3 months of my time there, I got a sublet in an apartment next to the Ansonia Hotel on the Upper West Side. So
It's, yeah.
I was close. I was close to the studio,
Yes.
which is what I wanted to be because really, I mean, it takes a while to get to know to orient yourself in the city. You know, the thing that I would do is I'd get on the subway, I'd get out, and I'd look up and I'd look around for the Twin Towers, for the World Trade Center, and then I would know, okay, that is south of me. So I know this side is the east side, this side's the west side. Okay, let's go. Um, and I don't know what it would be now.
I know, right? I know, right? I know. But New York's a big grid. Manhattan's a big grid. It's a big.
Yeah, well, it's a big grid, but there's multiple grids within it.
That's
So,
true too. That's true.
you get down into the village and,
Oh
forget
yeah,
it.
that's very. You're right about that. The streets start to
Right.
curve, and you're like Seventh Avenue South. What's that? Why is it over here? Like,
Yeah.
you're right. No, you're right. It does get
Yeah.
dicey.
So I was a little overwhelmed and also, I wasn't working a lot. I wasn't, the David Ron Paul character, Trent was working every day
Yes,
almost.
yes, yes.
And for me, my character was I got thrown in every now and then to a group scene, with them, and it took a good year and a half or so before the Joey and Emily Ann stuff started, and that's when I really started working. I had a little bit of a storyline when they had Joey uh, crushing on Rosa
Oh,
Langstrad. What was her
oh yeah.
character name? She was with Nico and Cecily.
That's like they with Reese Bernard, early Reese Bernard.
Right. Right. Maurice is great.
And
And
I love him.
so, yeah. And so I was I didn't work a lot. So that meant that I should have gotten another job there. I should have gotten some kind of
I was gonna ask you, did
supplement.
you? Yeah. And,
I wasn't making a lot of money and I barely made my rent and I wasn't eating well because I didn't have the money and I was just waiting for it. But I also had this contract stipulation that I was going to work at least this many days in a 13-week cycle.
got it.
So I knew that at the end of the 13 weeks, if I hadn't worked, well, I'd get paid for it anyway. And uh, and
Oh, got
so
it. Got it.
and so once those checks came in, okay, I was, living the life of Riley for a couple of weeks. It was hard. It was hard, and I didn't have any friends. My support system was all out on the west side, west coast. And anyways, the first apartment that I bought that I rented was in Jersey City. I
Okay.
thought that the PATH train would be, oh, it's just right on the other side of the river. It's not going to take any time at all to get to work.
Yeah,
Yeah, forget it.
I know.
Forget it. Oh man, the
I know.
oldest subway system in the whole world
Yes.
almost.
Yes.
And so I didn't know that I could get out of my lease because people on the East Coast they leave their leases and it doesn't affect them or nobody goes after you.
You're right. He's like, not like
What?
out here. Out here is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, on the West Coast. No, oh, sorry, you signed a contract. You're locked in for 12 years. And, and so, but I stayed the entire year. Finally, I found a place in the Upper West Side. It was at 77th and Columbus, which
Oh
is a
yeah,
beautiful little apartment there, and started having a really good time.
because all my children was at West 66 at the time, right? It was over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been to that when it was there. I've been to that building. I went and saw the view once there, but I remember that's when they had it was One Life to Live. One Life they were over there. Yeah, they were over there.
When I first started, we were over closer to where One Life to Live taped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like right. It was on Columbus and 66th or 67th or something like that.
Yeah,
And those were old studios. They
sure.
had it was so funny. They had like two warehouses that they had a wall bisecting them that they blew the wall out so that they could have one big
Oh,
studio.
oh, got
But
it.
what happened was the union said, "Oh, sorry, you can't have just one union here. You have the old studio and the new studio has two separate union locals."
Yeah.
So that stayed, even though it was one big room that the union guy on this side needed a hammer. He had to call over to the other side and say, "Hey, Joe, bring me a hammer." And they'd meet in the middle. A guy'd hand a hammer off and he'd walk over. So you'd have two completely separate
That's
crews
crazy. I never heard
in
of
that
that.
studio. It was just a scam that the union was running. I mean, that's New York City.
I love
It's
it.
like Tammany Hall stuff. It's hilarious. But then that was probably one of the main reasons that they moved,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
you know,
sure. I'm sure. Yeah. It was too
to
much.
consolidate the crew like that. And but that was I was there for the probably the first 6 months of my All My Children career, and then we moved.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody always wants me to ask people this because you've done it. And as you're talking about storylines, I'm literally being transported back and picturing you, the younger you at those times. I'm like, yes, I remember that story. I remember you. Yeah, I remember that. Some are pacing. I know back then, nowadays, there's no rehearsal basically. It's just like blocking, do it. Back then you had a few rehearsals, right? Or one or two. Like was it pacing as hard as
Yeah,
it is now? I don't think so,
I
right?
could tell you, I could tell you what our schedule was.
Yeah.
But I've not been on a soap opera in the modern era, so I don't know what things are like. I know that things have changed,
Yeah.
drastically.
Yes.
But we would show up at 6 in the morning. We would have a dry blocking. We in a small room. Everybody'd have coffee and bagels, and the director would take us through, and they'd have the whole thing, the stages taped out on the floor, and you
Oh,
would walk around and you'd write down your notes about what they want you to do. And then once that was over, it took probably, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then we'd take a break, and then we would go down to the stage and we'd have what they called camera blocking. And we would do it all over again for the cameras, 4 cameras, sometimes five, and they would do their ballet of moving around as they were shooting us. And so it was a way for us to sort of lock in where we were going to be on the set as actors. And then we took another break, lunch break, and then we came back and did a dress rehearsal. And we did the entire script, dress rehearsal. And then we had notes. And then we started shooting around 3, 4 o'clock. And then it'd take as long as it took, Sometimes we'd get out at 6 p.m., sometimes we'd get out at 10 p.m. And if the camera people missed their last train on the Metro North, or what do they call it? Uh, then they would be so mad. They'd get so mad. You'd go up on a line, and
oh.
they'd say cut, and then clipboards would break, pencils are flying. You know, you had to, you talk about pressure, you wanted to get them to their
I know,
train.
right?
Your friends, and and if you're just screwing around, like, oh, I need another take. Like, for instance, I learned after a while, and I learned this from some of the best, by the way,
Yes.
that if you didn't like how things were going in a scene, you just threw in a curse word.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And then everybody would stop. Hey, Michael, you can't say that. What did I say? And then you'd be able to get another chance to do it over because sometimes you would do a scene and you perhaps didn't get it. You didn't get there. You didn't get there emotionally. You were just remembering lines. You can see an actor trying to remember their lines and it
Yes.
comes out like, what did they just say? I don't, and, uh, and so if you want another shot, you think you can do it better. There were ways to do that, but you'd piss everybody off.
Yes. I like that. Now, before this, were you aware of soaps? Did your mother, grandmother, they watch soaps? Were you aware of soaps?
Yeah, my mom watched the NBC soaps, so Another World, I think, was her soap.
Okay, so
I
you were,
remember I remember all those people.
yes.
It was just always on in the background in my house. And all of those actors, once I got onto the show, I would see them at different events and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is weird."
I know, like, they're in this little box, and now I see them in real life. That's how I feel when I meet people like you. I'm like, I used to watch you, and like, and I'm
Yeah.
talking to you.
That was one of the really strange things to get acclimated to. Like one of the first things that happened while I was there is the publicity department called and asked if I wanted to go and do the Jerry Lewis telethon, which they would film over in Paramus.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yeah, of course I want to do that. That sounds
Oh,
great. And when I got there, I got to meet Henny Youngman and Sammy Davis Jr.
my God.
And I remember outside as we were waiting to go in, Glover, what's his name? The dancer.
Oh,
Um,
I got a dancer.
he was I'll
I
think of
can't
his
remember
name
his
in a
first
second.
name. I can't remember his first name.
He was a kid at that. He was like 13 years old, and he was doing the butterfly tap dance thing,
Yeah,
where
that's
they
yeah.
do this and they hit their feet on the floor so many times. There were all these old guys around him because they were on it was a Broadway show at
Yeah.
that time that was big, Black and Blue or something like
That
that.
sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. Yes.
And and this kid was in the show, and he was going to be the next big thing. And
Oh, his name is Savion Glover.
Savion
Yes,
Glover.
that's his
Savion
name.
Glover. And so he did this thing, and all the crowd of these men erupted. They're like, "Oh, that's the record! That's the record!" So I saw the tap dancing record that day too,
Wow.
and then we had to answer a bunch of phone calls, and that was a tremendous experience, and I still remember. Donnie Lalonde, the boxer, was there. One of the guys, one of the hockey players from the New Jersey Devils. Anyways,
But that's
but I
because that was an institution for us growing up. The Jerry Lewis
yeah,
Telethon, we watched it. It came on every year. It's an
yep,
institution. It's an institution.
yeah, yeah.
So that's amazing. So I mean, so the soap world, because okay, so you're in New York now. Was it? You say you never got another job, so you didn't think about this Broadway, off Broadway, off row. You never thought about the stage stuff there when you were there.
Oh yeah, but you couldn't get away. Your contracts were too
Too strict.
tight. They wouldn't let you get away to do anything, even though they said during negotiation time, like, oh sure, if you ever get a Broadway show, you can do that at night and then come to work in the morning. But they never let anybody out of that stuff. Some of the actors would get out and do some off-Broadway stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember seeing David Canary in a few things and some other people that were writers and they did a couple of plays themselves. And so it happened, but the most that I could get out of was to go to an acting class every week. But it was really, I mean, it was once you get locked into a storyline, there isn't time for anything else because you got to get home and memorize the next day's script, and so
How did you memorize back then? And has it changed since?
it's always changing. You're always trying to find a way to get done quicker. Um, but really it just the thing that doesn't change is you put your nose in your script and stay there until it's done, until it's in your head. Um, So yeah, but how it changed for me now is I will record my script into an audio app, and I'll just play it back in my ears.
Oh
I
wow.
did a film a few years ago with uh, Robert Fontaine, who was on General Hospital for a while, and I met him on Santa Barbara. We were on Santa Barbara together, and he had written a script, and it was terrific. It's called Me America, and we filmed it in Newburgh, New York, and it made it to HBO. It's still out there. You can find it. And I played a part, pretty big part there. Very thankful to Robert for that. And what I would do is I'd put my earbuds in and just listen to my script all day long as I'm walking around set, and always have it there. Just always have it in the background. I get involved in conversations and go about my business, but I could always re-engage at any time, and I'd have the lines there. Even though I had them down, I would still do that.
Um,
And it enabled me to absolutely not think about them when it came time to shoot.
got it. Got it.
It got to a point where I didn't have to. I could listen. I could listen to what the other actor was saying to me. I could concentrate more on the behavior. Um, and yeah, and so that's just a trick that I found more recently in my career, I suppose, that I didn't do before. And yeah, before it's just you just got to put your nose in the script
Yeah.
and not and not stop until it's memorized. Used to take me, if I was had say 20 pages of dialogue, it would take me a couple of hours at night, and then I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have my coffee at home. I'd wake up early and I would do it again, and then I would go in, and then through the multiple rehearsals, by the time we shoot, it was in there.
Yeah. That's very cool. I think it's cool. So what is one of the things you learned? I mean, every experience, I'm sure you learned something, but being on a soap opera, what was one of the things you learned from that, being an actor on a soap opera?
That is a very vague question.
Okay.
In what respect? Like, here's a good story.
Okay, tell me, please. I love stories. Please, that's what give me
Okay,
a story. If it gives you a story, give me a story.
here's one thing I learned. Very first day I was working, that I was on set. I was overwhelmed. I'm watching everything happen on stage, and I was watching a scene, and I happened to be there were all these cords that are attached to the cameras, big, thick cords. And you had guys that were moving them around, and they had to watch out for each other's cord as they're doing the ballet of
Yeah,
cameras.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm standing there watching the scene between the actors, and I don't even know who it was. And I'm standing on a cord, and I didn't even realize it. I'm standing on this cord, and it's in the middle of my feet. It feels good, and I'm rocking back and forth, and I'm just way into this scene. And all of a sudden, wham, the cord tightens up, and I see on the periphery of my sight line a camera just spin.
Oh my,
And the camera worker was like, "Who's standing on cord?" And I'm like, "Oh man!" And I ducked out,
oh
and
my
I
God,
got behind a set, and I walked out of the
oh
studio.
my,
Nobody ever knew it was me.
oh my God.
But I learned that day that number one thing about soap operas is you don't stand on camera cords.
Okay, okay. See,
And there's plenty of other things.
that story's even better than anything I could have imagined. I like that. That's just that. There you go. I mean, that's what you learned.
And you just got to wait and learn, but you're making those mistakes, and I'm glad I didn't break the guy's nose. But that's one thing I learned, James.
But see, I asked a vague question and I got a good answer. I love it. So you're a trained professional. I love it. But here's something that's more specific. Okay, I'll get more specific. Because you're only on for a few years and you came back a couple of times. Um, of your main stint on there, which storyline that you had really still resonates with you of all your work that you did on that show?
Well, the Emily Ann stuff,
Yeah.
uh, was good. I was really trying hard. I I didn't.
Because that was Liz Vassy, right? That was
Yeah,
Liz.
Liz Vassy. Yeah. I mean, I had worked, for a little while by that time, and sort of had my my way of working down. But I was also trying to me as an actor, I try to perfect the inner life of the character. And the lines are sort of secondary to that. The behavior is what's important to me. Uh, but they go hand in hand. If you don't have the lines down, like I said, you're searching for the next line and you're not able to listen and you're not able to, concentrate on that kind of behavior. So it took me a while to develop techniques to get me there. And I just sort of began to get there uh, in the Emily Ann stuff.
Um,
And then I was let go,
no, but that's it. It's like,
which is the reason why I took Santa Barbara. I'm like, I don't think I I I left a lot on the floor, on that stage. I don't think I'm done with this yet. I have a way of working now that I want to see if it works, and so that's why I took the Santa Barbara job and
that.
developed that.
I like that. You said you fully had more. Yeah, now you finally got a technique down. You want to see if this really is going to take.
Yeah,
You need more. You need more air. You need more airtime. You need more time to work it out. I love.
exactly.
I love that. I did. I love that. But also, is it true you were nominated for a Some Opera Digest Award, weren't you, the last year on the show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was like being because you're doing job? I mean, not everybody gets nominated for stuff. You were nominated for an award. I mean, so what did that? So what did that feel? I remember Some Opera Digest. So I went to several of those award shows.
It was great.
What was it? What you think?
It was great. It was great, and also a childhood friend was presenting that award.
Who was it?
Michael Easton and I went to junior high
Really? You
school
know
and high
Michael
school
Easton?
together.
I didn't know that. Oh
Yeah, we went
wow.
junior high and high school. He was our student body president in high school.
Oh wait, just one second, folks at home. Most of us know he was Tanner on Days of Our Lives. He was John
Yep.
McBain on Life to Live, and of course, he was several characters, including Finn on General Hospital.
Yeah.
He's also he
Yeah,
did
we
a
worked
novel. He does all kind of stuff. I met him. He did a lot of things.
we worked on the NBC lot in Burbank at the same time.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it was a trip to it still is a trip when he and I get together and talk about it.
I like him. I met him. I've interviewed him. I like him. He's an introverted guy. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. But he was very gracious when I talked to him. I have his graphic novel and the whole thing. We love talking about
He
that.
he's a good actor and he's a really good writer.
Yes, I
He's
agree.
always been a good writer. He was winning awards in high school for his writing. He is a terrific story guy
So
for
that
sure.
must be a trip when someone from your high, because you didn't go to Hollywood High or anything. You went to a high school somewhere in Orange County, and you both are in the soap world. That must be
Laguna Hills High
oh,
School.
Laguna Hills. Okay, yes, that must be a trip.
Yeah.
This must just be a trip. Like we're both having success in this kind of because a lot of actors don't work. A lot of actors don't have success, but you both were having jobs,
Most actors don't work.
right?
Even working actors don't work most of
Right.
the time.
Right. Right. So seriously, people don't understand that. Like a lot of actors have other jobs. You see him on a show for a while, you're like, oh great, but like a lot of them do other things too at the same time. But he's a great guy, and my soap fans, we know that we're big fans of him.
Yeah, well, he was presenting that award,
Oh, how fun!
which I didn't win.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who won that year.
It's not important who won that year anyway. It wasn't you. It doesn't matter.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you. Also, want to ask you about did you have any fan encounters? Because soap opera fans are very, especially back then, there was no social media. There was none of that kind of stuff. It was just fan events or just being out on the streets in New York. A lot of you guys are wandering around. Were you recognized?
Um, yeah, all the time, all the time. Yeah, it was uh, it was hard.
It's weird. Is that weird at first? I started
Oh
feeling
yeah,
it's
it's
weird
weird.
at first. It's
I can't imagine what it'd be like nowadays with everybody's just got a cell phone and they take a photo of you. But back then it was, I want your autograph. And so
yes.
you have to sit there and write something interesting, think something interesting, and get on with your day. And it's, boy, it's invasive into your life. Um, and yeah, I could never get square with that. It was hard. There was one time, uh, James Patrick Stewart and I,
Yeah.
he was Will. He was Will. We were best of friends on that show. And we would do things together all the time when we had our days off at the same time. And one time, we were, well, we had a little bit of help with mind altering substances.
Oh, some fun, a little fun, recreational fun.
Well, exactly. And we went to the
It was the 80s. Go on.
well, it was we went to the Museum of Natural History,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and we're gonna go see dinosaur bones and such while we're tripping.
Hey, why not? Sure,
And
why
we were
not?
walking around in there, and it hit, and we're like, okay, this is great. And we just thought we were on in our own little world. And we enter a room, and there's a bunch of little school children in there, and we're walking amongst them looking at dinosaur bones. And a nun says, "Oh my gosh, kids, look, it's Joey and Will from All My Children."
Oh, oh my God.
Patrick and I look at each other,
Oh my God.
and we look at the nun, and we look at each other again, and we took off running.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love it. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and I don't
Like,
even
not
know
right
where we.
now. It's not Joey and Will right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Michael and James Patrick Stewart right now.
yeah,
So
we got out of there, and I think we went to the middle of Central Park and just hung out until everything was over. But yeah, it's so funny. That was sort of our attitude about it, is that okay, it's great, and we would put on a fresh face for every
of
encounter, and
course, of
be
course, of course, of
the
course.
easiest thing would be to slip into your character and be that for them. There's just a duality of personality in your head, and which is the one thing I couldn't really square. And you just be that person, and then you can get out of that situation as quick as possible. And you didn't want to disappoint the fans. But it's exhausting. For me, it's really draining and exhausting.
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining. The
Right,
money's good.
right.
I was never in it to be famous for sure.
Well, no, I like that you said it. 'Cause I want people to understand that some people just want to act. They like the craft. It's fun. They like doing it, playing different
Exactly.
characters, traveling. The fame part is it's just like a byproduct, but it's so weird. Like I said, I get recognized. I'm like because I do these shows, I get recognized on the street. It's like, but I'm not on the show. I'm on a show that talks about the show, and it's still kind of
Yeah.
weird. They're like, because I'm close, like to you. I mean, when you talk to Michael, like you touched him or whatever. Like this. I'm the closest thing, the conduit kind of. So it's like it's when I get recognized, I'm eating my food. They're like, "Are you James Lott Jr.?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm like, leave me alone. My hair is crazy." I don't know. I'm just like, it's really weird at first. My friends are like,
Yeah.
"Why do you mean it's weird?" I'm like, it's nice, but it's like it's just not a natural. When you leave your
Yeah.
house,
Oh yeah. Well, I can't imagine being somebody as, on the A-list actors and just being
right?
at dinner in a restaurant and being bombarded or stepped in on while you're eating a mouthful of steak. You
Right.
know, it's like, come on, we're humans, man. Let me eat my
That's
food.
right. And you said something that's very important, folks. Back then, it was all about autographs. Now it's pictures.
Yeah.
Back
I
then,
suppose in a lot of ways it makes things a lot easier and that encounter to happen a little quicker,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
okay,
for
yes,
people. And you don't want to have a sour looking scowl on your face, because when that hits the internet, you could become a meme, you
yes.
know.
I've been a few memes over the years. I've been a few, but that's not.
Yeah.
But that's right. But I think you're right. You're right. Actually, I guess it could be quicker. Just like, can I picture with you? Sure. Thank you. Love you. Thank you. Thanks for thanks for watching the show, and you move on.
Yeah.
You're right. With the autograph, you got to think of something. You can't just sign your name all the time. You got to think of something like I used to do love, kisses, and best wishes, James Lott Jr. I mean, just something stupid. I mean, I thought a little. I mean, something that rhymed. I mean, I guess it's
Yeah.
fucked up. Yeah, they write something like that. You're like, okay, I get it. But now it's pictures. They want a picture with you. And once I was at a Starbucks at like 6:30 in the morning, and hair was like this, and I was just like wearing a dirty t-shirt, like, oh my God, you do the General Hospital? I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm like, just my coffee. It's
Yeah.
like what? You know.
When Santa Barbara ended, when I was my next soap after All My Children, I was there for about 18 months, and then the show ended. I was still on that show. I was getting whenever I got recognized on the street, it was from All My Children. The viewership was
Oh,
so much greater than Santa Barbara.
wow.
Uh, and I would uh, I grew a beard. I shaved my head. I grew a beard.
Oh,
And
wow.
I didn't want to be recognized anymore. I needed some time off, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Uh, but people would still recognize me from my voice,
Yeah, your voice is very distinctive. Yes, it is.
you know.
Yes. That's so funny. Well, folks, I'm gonna have him on. I'm working on a Santa Barbara after show. He will definitely be on that one because
All
that show
right.
has a lot of back history, a lot of stories. I mean, every single person I've talked to, and we've talked off camera, every person I've talked to from Santa Barbara has a million stories. So I know we're working on something. Just stay tuned. I'm working on something. He knows what's going on. I'm working on something, but he will definitely be back for that because you have good stories. Michael, you're the bomb. I can talk to you all day long. You're so good. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, thanks, James. Thanks for having me. Oh, let me throw this out. The latest project I'm working on right now
Yes.
is a Substack called the Complete Works of Ernie Pyle.
Yes.
If you don't know anything about him, that's okay. Just go and check it out on Substack. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. He was a writer from the 1930s, a columnist. So I'm putting all of his stories that he wrote in sequence all the way through the war years because he was a war correspondent as well. And it's going to be one a day. And it's great to know what was going on back then. We're still living down politically what was created in those times. So it gives great context as to what's happening politically and socially in America. That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm writing, and every now and then I get an acting gig and such, but I'm still involved in the story world. I also I wrote that's how I got into the Ernie Pyle world is I wrote a 13 episode podcast called The Ernie Pyle Experiment. If you go looking for that, you can find it. The half-hour episodes, and I wrote all those. I play Ernie Pyle character, and actually Greta, uh, who played Katie Kennicott on All My Children, she's in it. And
Whichever they
so
care.
go check it out. You can go check that out. But the Substack is called The Complete Works of Ernie Pyle, and that's my latest thing.
Now here's the thing. I'm gonna put it underneath in the description, of course. I always promote you, put it in the description. And I just want to second, I'm an Ernie Pyle fan too. That's why I said on my channel we have the Ernie Pyle World War II Museum podcast. Make sure you check that out. And I'm on some of the episodes. I actually did some of the episodes. I'm a journalism student back in the day. I went to college for that, so I admire him so much. So I will second that. He was there. He was for the people, and that's it. I mean the people. He was there for the soldiers' families. His writing is very distinctive. So I will, if you like stuff like that, I will second that completely. Go to his Substack, but I will put that in the thing too, underneath the
Thanks.
description. Of course, I'll promote you, of course. I'm James Lott Jr. Of course, though. All My Children After Show comes out every week on our all. It's called a lot of because my last name's Lott. A lot of Drama Fridays. That's with two T's. That's how clever I am. Check that out. My other after shows, Life to Live, Dallas, Dynasty, Falcon Crest, Knots Landing. They're all there. They come out every week, and we talk about all kinds of things going on with the show and interview actors from the shows on there too. So check us out on Fridays. So if you're thinking, I want some drama on a Friday, check us out, audio and video. JLJ Media is everywhere because that's what I did. And we'll see you next time.